sorry, is the Firefox has this trouble with some WebRTC things, so I get freezed.
Yeah, they changed their order of actually using and changing the standard and then slowly adapt. This issue was
Mhm.
there in Chrome 1.5 months ago, where they changed from WebRTC from the Plan B to the universal plan for implementation of WebRTC. So at that
Yes,
point,
and I have
no.
a lot of privacy blockers, so it
Mhm.
also,
That's
Let's
also
go
great.
some extra layers.
yeah. So
That's good.
Grab my coffee.
Coffee. So, are you from Portugal?
yes.
Yeah. I'm in Brazil. I'm from Brazilian, but I am also a Portuguese citizenship.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of family in Brazil also.
Oh, really? That's
Uh,
good. So you came here already?
no,
No? Oh,
no,
you must.
no.
It's very
One
good.
of these days, yes.
Yeah, sure. So,
Cool. And we've just seen your presentation this morning. Very
Yep.
innovative and great that this platform is there to have different open source companies collaborate and endorse and uh, combine that
Mhm.
with community and support and so forth. It's cool.
Yes.
Really nice.
Um, so, what I've been doing, although it seems it's, does it work with guests so anonymous calls? No, you always need to be a user.
you mean you mean in Rocket Chats you want a guest user that's anonymous, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Does
you
is
can.
that
There is.
possible?
Yeah, yeah. There's an option that you can have. You can allow registration, so the user will be able to register themselves, or you can allow guest users. Let me
Okay.
check here.
Per channel or room or server? How's it run?
Well, yeah. Then
Well, the use case I have is if I wanted to, for instance, do a webinar, but I'm not recording, I'm using Chatham House rules. I want anyone to just come in. I might kick them out, of course, but
yeah,
so what I
that's
do, for
the
instance, every Thursday from Monday to 1 o'clock Lisbon time. So an hour ago, actually, every Thursday. So next, I'll an hour ago tomorrow. I'll have. I always have open sessions, which is well an open mic. I'm dealing with lots of things. Actually, tomorrow, as I've said to Floris, um, I'll be talking about communication tools. And so I just brought in the blog you had published this week, I suppose, about different business communication tools. Um, and so I'll be talking about this anyway. But again, I'm using this as a Jitsi. Well, the simplest thing from Jitsi. Well, for now, this is still starting, so I don't have much of an audience. Um, but so we talk about things, explain a little bit of what's going on differently, but I do it on the open without being much concerned about the things. Um, and well, that's it. And so that's one of the requirements. There's an association that's using Rocket.Chat here, and this is one of the ways I knew, which is D3, an association for digital rights. Um, and what was I thinking? Yes, that's it. And so that's it. So you've seen a little bit of my presentation, so um, let me just recapitulate. So we are an NGO. We are a union, an association of companies that deal with this. We deal with this open source technologies, and basically, in our main mission, again, our main mission is to ensure that we have a good and healthy open source market in Portugal. So that means in terms of businesses that can thrive and offer services, but also that customers are looking into open source. And that is actually happening right now. But I need to have more players. And basically, one of the things that people usually ask, if I start talking with a company about open source and that there are solutions for this and that, and they always ask, and so who can I call here in Portugal to use this product? And so one of the missions I have right now is to call projects like yours, for instance, or MariaDB or the Ubuntu guys from Canonical, and say, are you interested in entering the Portuguese market? Do you want to establish things here? And we act a little bit as a facilitator, a little bit of a catalyst, trying to connect you with technology partners here, um, trying to find you some leads so that you can start and, well, establish themselves. We do not receive anything from this. We are even for anti-competition rules, we have to be, we cannot favor any technology, any partner over another. But so we try to be as inclusive as possible. And the way that we earn money is actually by having more business associates. So more people coming into the association and paying their dues. And so that's the thing. So that's it. I had in my view to contact you a long time ago, but still haven't. There's been hectic hectic time. But as in my business, I'm closing now, finishing a long time project in Belgium, and so now I have a little bit of free time. So I'm trying to push a few things right now.
Yeah, it's good
So
that we're all here at the same time now.
yes.
Yes, and
So my question here would be, are you interested in entering here the Portuguese market, and in what ways can we as OP help you?
Okay, just a quick one for the technical question. For allow, if you want to set up in a way that you allow anonymous, you can go in
Mhm.
admin and you go to accounts, and then there's the two first options: allow anonymous read and allow anonymous write. Okay, so
Okay.
if you check those ones, whenever you go into Rocket.Chat, you can see the channels, and you can, if you allow the read, they will be able to read only the channel.
Mhm.
If you allow them to write, they can also write. And also there is a anonymous permission that you can fine tune. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so there's anonymous. If you go to permissions, there is a role called anonymous, and then you can
Mhm.
fine tune what they can do, what they cannot do. Okay.
I've seen that you have also something very interesting, but the integration now with Nextcloud. Um, I suppose they will be phasing down their talk components, which becomes redundant in most cases. But they haven't announced it. But at some point, it won't make much sense to maintain two things that are doing the same thing. But that's a good thing. Um, so about
yeah,
you.
in that regard, there is since 2018 the the web dev share ability, so you can directly share your files from Nextcloud to Rocket.Chat. Very convenient in example that you're giving these kinds of presentations and you want to do the slides or the sheets or a manual, something like that, meaning that you share the link directly from Nextcloud where it's shared to the world, and you publish that in your channel where you're doing the presentation. And the other one, I'm not sure yet. Nextcloud itself is really into talk and spread, and they use that in their enterprise edition of the software. And I did some tests myself on spread and talk. It works pretty well up to 6 to 8 people if you don't have a huge cluster of servers. So for me as an open source enthusiast, it's not so useful. However, it does have a bridge to the matrix. So via this bridge, I hope that all these different kinds of communication protocols and vendors and so forth start talking and working together. For Rocket.Chat, that is like in the next major version, then we will also have the matrix support inside core, so that it will directly out of the box. You don't need to install a separate server and so forth. It's just a matter of configuration and then go. And for the other thing, you're broadcasting your event directly from a Rocket.Chat server that you have access to and control, right? Or no? Yes.
It would be. Right now it's Jitsi, so we don't have anything. So.
Oh, but Jitsi is also great. It integrates natively for a long time now. And recently, the Jitsi got upgraded with their WebRTC and simultaneous behavior that it can take up to 500 people in one room. Not all will have the camera, obviously. The dominant speakers, the 10 plus, they get the camera full open, and the rest of the people is a listening participant. But still a very suitable way of having like a local meetup, conference, small conferences.
Yeah, depends on the server too.
It depends on the total amount of bandwidth per user. Jitsi is a peer-to-peer based protocol, so the server is doing the signaling and the turn and stun stuff, and then each individual client will build their streams up to the maximum amount of possible within their bandwidth.
But that's not the case of Rocket.Chat. Rocket.Chat is server-based. It's not distributed in that way.
Yes, true. Rocket.Chat is
a
single central service, and all the clients communicate to that, and then it can federate to another Rocket.Chat or to a matrix, and then these things can be spread out within their load. Yeah. And also it's doing chat services and not a WebRTC video calling. It's using different kinds of WebRTC and integrates with all kinds of video calling solutions instead of having that as its own major feature set.
Trying to see here one thing. I know there are some bridges for Telegram, because some people here on D3 are using that. Does it connect to ActivityPub for
Activity Hub?
it's not for an open channel, but for a replication. I've seen, I think, in some places where people would put things that they publish on Mastodon or Twitter and then reflect back into a channel. So they have an inner list of the publications they have. There's something there.
Yeah, that's the same kind of principle as a traditional way of connecting your Telegram. So you have an inbound and an outgoing webhook in your Rocket.Chat, and that you connect to both the incoming and outgoing endpoints of the app that you're connecting with. And within Telegram, it is a little bit iffy when you're talking to bot father, that you do this in the right sequence of activation, and then the bridge they stay up for half a year or a year, and then they need a little reactivation and then continue.
Mhm. Well,
We use those. Yeah.
so we're debating a little bit, but here
Yeah.
the thing that I'm thinking of is we are looking into platforms for managing social presence in the
Mhm.
internet, and so that it's easy to manage well the publications and reactions and the audience it reaches. We've seen I've I've noticed 2 or 3 open source projects that do this. I don't know if they are capable of integrating with Rocket.Chat or not. But in the end, besides the common communication part, where I see that, let me check here one thing. Yes, so what I see here is that mostly Rocket.Chat falls into the Slack replacement uh, category. Um, so someone that was going to use Slack might just switch directly into Rocket.Chat without problems. Um, but I'm also, and so this goes into the business area, but I'm also looking into solutions that can be used with smaller groups. With now the who Pierre Marais is on the OW2. So he's left now. Talking about Lutes,
Mhm.
so it's which is also a participative community management thing, and we also are in, and I have to talk with him. But we also have already contacts with the console project, the CVCRM, where the lead developer actually moved to Portugal, and the Decidim project. And we are trying to, well, make a package or a presentation where we can try to boost the use of these tools into associations, very small enterprises that need communication issues, and to leverage transparency communication. But we want to create a sort of an alliance or a sort of a way to connect these projects, so communication tools, management tools, and the technology providers, so that we could have something, then manage through sponsoring, where we could offer this for free or very low cost into those kinds of um, institutions, informal citizen groups, and so on, so that we could more or less help them use and so to also to say to promote more the use of open source, because here
Mhm.
the question about open source is also how useful is this, how how well can I use it, and because here the market is still a little bit dominated with the Microsoft, Zoom, Google things. We want to say you don't have to be tied to these. And so this is a little bit our positioning, and that's why I'm doing those open sessions, showing, okay, here is this, here is that, and then we'll have our associates also presenting their solutions. There is one associate that has a solution which is called IPbrick. Uh, Here, I think it's ipbrick.com. And they also have, well, an internal solution they developed, which is, let me just check here that this link is, yes, which is based on, well, they composed the software using Jitsi and other projects. So they have a chat thing and a meeting thing and communication. They actually came from the voice over IP world, where they had a lot of servers with asterisk and doing a lot. And they still have a portal, so they sell a solution where a company just buys them the what they call the COIP, the unified communications. Um, and so you actually have a page. Each employee has a page with the voice over IP number where people can call in from their phone or through the web, even for chat. And so they were able to integrate. I still think they are. It's they've they've launched their new version, but the technology behind it, I think it's a little bit outdated. And I'm trying to convince them to look elsewhere and integrate other products like yours, which could have more flexibility. Not that the product is not bad, but sometimes it comes time to switch gears a little bit.
Mhm.
So,
So yeah,
besides all of this, which is
from,
very
from
interesting, and we can talk about for
Mhm.
this for hours if you let
Mhm.
me, if you don't put a break on me.
Yeah.
What I'm really interested is to know a little bit of business plans for Rocket.Chat. What can you tell me? I don't know if you're if you are the persons to talk about this, but
Well, business is a big part of community, and you're currently talking to the community team, at least a part of that.
okay.
And to summarize, from a bird's eye view, you're looking for an indie web solution for medium and smaller uh,
So these are
entities
separate things. These
to
are
do your
separate
thing.
things. So
Yeah, and
that's
there's
the
three questions
positioning that
before.
I'm doing.
Yes.
But and
Then.
this is something that we can talk about and
Mhm, mhm.
grow step by step. No issues.
Yeah.
Right now, what I'm being interested is trying to push you into the enterprise level here, because
Mhm.
this is where it makes difference, and this is where you
Yeah.
will get some money to support
Mhm.
community efforts.
Yeah. And that's where I was going from to. So you already know that Rocket.Chat facilitates a team chat. That is like a Slack alternative.
No
And
one
then
uses
there is
Skype
another
anymore.
part of. Huh?
No one
It's
uses Skype.
Fortunately.
well, Skype stopped using itself, and that brought
Yeah.
us nice business. Um, and then there is the second part, which we call omni-channel, which is including voice over IP, email, SMS, Telegram, WhatsApp, WeChat, and just to name a few more. And that has a little widget that can be used from any website interface, and it's meant for support, sales, groups of people facilitating all bigger groups of customers, where the customer can choose which kind of medium they prefer to chat with us or with our clients.
Hmm.
And that is a fully fledged part of our enterprise solution. And it's also available within open source. And then there is a third part of Rocket.Chat. We call that in-app chat, meaning that all these APIs and communication channels are available with a beautiful UI kit for developers to make their Rocket.Chat their own and their own solution to use for their clients.
Hmm.
So the whole infrastructure, back-end, support, sales, hosting facilities are already all available and professionalized at Rocket.Chat. So if companies or entities are interested in going for the enterprise plan, they can just jump in. It's relatively cheap. You pay from $2 up per participant, per active user. And yeah, on going back to the high level, doing this all indie web self-hosted style, that's also possible since
Hmm.
the core and the major, almost all the functionality is still fully available in the open source. So you can just take it, install it on a service, and configure it, use it, access the App Store, add more apps to that for integrations with other back-end platforms, documentation, collaboration suites, and so forth. And there's a big ecosystem of these kinds of integration apps. So in this use case, Rocket.Chat can be used as a sort of like central communication hub for all these indie web style open tools.
Mhm. That's good.
Yes, and then going back to your first question, we were talking about that before you joined up here. We do have integration partner in Portugal. At least that was what Duda was saying. I don't know if we
Yeah,
can find some credentials, some contact details for that. That might be interesting
yeah.
as
If
well.
you go on our site, we have the find a partner,
Yeah.
and if you
Okay,
choose
let me
Portugal,
check. Find.
we have six. At least they are listed to Portugal. I'm not sure if they are. I
Yeah,
know for a fact that one is not Fabulor. I think they are from Belgium, right?
yeah, and I see
Uh,
that
Yeah,
Sintel
that's the thing. Most,
TV is Dutch, and there's one from
yeah,
Brazil. So usually when
yeah,
when vendors click these little check marks, they check everything. Our customers are all over the world, so then you don't have the filtering anymore.
yeah, that can be too. So
yes,
probably
but
we does not
then,
have a company in Portugal, right? Like a Portuguese company for
mhm.
Portugal market. But we can find some companies maybe. Uh,
Yes, and on the other hand, this is a could be a win-win situation that through these kinds of events, a company would say, "Yeah, yeah, we're doing Rocket.Chat in Portugal, and we also want to join up as a partner in here."
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we have this catalyst program to have a partner. So if you go there and partners, like become a partner, maybe if we have a company that are willing in Portugal to become a partner, they can be our partner in Portugal.
Yes, that's one of the ways that we work. So either you already have a plan in terms of market entrance, like for instance, that's what Canonical and MariaDB have, or you just want to increase your partner network. And for that, what we could provide is, for instance, a presentation. So set the requirements for the partner and then the presentation to our associates where you can just say, okay, this is what you do, this is how we do business, and who's interested. And then they can contact you and decide what's best and how can they provide. We can also do, besides going just to our own partner network, we could do a more open session, trying to say, well, and this is, well, tomorrow is the first step on this, just to present, okay, communication solutions. One of the things that we're trying to do, and I hope to be able to continue doing all year long, is to have local events. That is, it's events where instead of just centering here in Lisbon, we just go through the country, trying attracting people into, well, mostly organizations and companies to show to show up uh, open source solutions. So to a more practical approach. That's what uh, people were asking yesterday. What is your audience? Is the technical guys or the decision makers? I want the decision makers. The technical guys, I've already won them. So, and if I don't, uh, and if I haven't won them uh, yet, I will. And so that's not the question. Here, the problem is reaching the decision makers, showing them that choosing an open source product is a good choice. It's a good choice business-wise in terms of and in terms of flexibility, and in terms of strategy, in terms of technology, and so that's the way that I want to show. So we don't have anything yet um, made specifically for communications, but we might. It also depends on the kind of region we are. So in some places where there's more companies dealing with telcos, or there's more a telco tradition, they might be more interested in knowing about and talking about this than others. And so we could also arrange for you to have a presence. You don't necessarily have to be present. It could be remote, but uh, sometimes it's nicer if it's in person. Just because people need someone to talk to, and here in this phase, we are still on the phase that you need someone to talk for yourselves directly. It's here people are still asking, who can I call at 3 a.m. when the server is down? Or we're still, the server is not down, it's just calling everyone at every time, beeping all the time. So that's even more annoying. Um, that's the situation.
And it's also a common trend. So after having 2 years of COVID and lockdowns, and people are really enjoying getting together and exchanging information, learning, sharing.
Yeah,
So that's really good
but
thing.
they are also more open to um, communications remotely, like this one. Um, so in an introductory phase, we can work this out here, but still reserve some way of um, putting some live events. So one of the things that we are also planning, so we got a request from UK. So we have 2 or 3 companies there that want to enter our market. And so we're trying to contact the Chamber of Commerce, the British Chamber of Commerce, and the embassy. And usually they are a little bit keen on doing events, so showing things and doing networking events with companies and so on. But we're also in contact with other companies. I haven't looked. Your Rocket.Chat is based on which country? The main
It's in
headquarters.
Brazil and it has an office in United States.
Okay, I thought it had something also in Europe.
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, Brazil is actually a nice thing because then we can leverage the thing. There's a Chamber of Commerce for Brazil,
Yeah.
and people are usually very keen on having mingling and creating events on this. And we don't have much communication with Brazil as an institution ourselves, although I know from the news, there's lots of open source activity in Brazil and Fisley in Porto Alegre and all of that. And but really, really, that's one of the bubbles we are going to trying to bust. So,
And just to get a better
for instance,
understanding for these meetings and events, those are all in Portuguese or are they in English?
they could be in English, but here the purpose, well, depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
With the events with enterprises, we want it to be in Portuguese, so we lower the barrier. But for technical stuff, there's
Obviously,
no
then
big problem in
international.
being English. In English,
Yeah. So that could be another advantage since Brazil and Portugal speak about the same language.
yep. So
Yeah.
there would be no issue there.
We have
Um,
also several of our employees are living because we're a distributed company around the world. So we also
mhm,
have like I think 4 or 5 in Lisbon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
good.
at least four.
What? Yeah. One of the things that we could also do is trying to do a local meetup of
Mhm.
Rocket.Chat users in Portugal, and so we can start by a virtual meetup, but then trying to see if there's enough people to do an actual physical meetup. Just put things in people there. So this is also a way of growing an interest in creating here a company. Who knows? Maybe we can join this close a meetup with a meetup from a startup from a startup community, so it gets some interest in starting a business with this technology, and these things can also be possible.
Those are
So.
really cool initiatives. I'm also working and thinking on that. I recently joined as a community lead at Rocket.Chat. But there is like a huge opportunity for having a scalable community when these, just like say, like you have like a meetup in a box with a let's say at least the basic understanding, some slides, some materials, some stuff, and that could go all around the world with localized gatherings of people interested in actually using the software, or in another variant, working with the software and programming on top of it. So that's really good thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, trying
So
to get you the link I have
mhm.
here from my tweet about the session for tomorrow. Wait a minute. Okay. I also have here the link from LinkedIn, so that you could share it uh, also with the people that are here. They could just drop in and say, "Hi, we're from Rocket.Chat, and this is what we do." Could also be interesting. So let me get the link. There it is. This is the LinkedIn link here on the chat, or also my tweet. Oh well, tweets for my tweet. Copy, 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 copy. Share, copy link to tweet. There it is. It has the GT link also. So now you know. So I would like just to, well, keep in touch. And let's see if we can advance this further.
Yep. Yeah, that would be great. I have your email, send you an email, so we have each other's emails already.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm a Rocketeer, and I'm connecting to you here on LinkedIn. And you're from Eindhoven.
Yes, in the Netherlands.
Yes. I work in Amsterdam for quite a few years. Random, actually.
That's cool.
The old Albertine. Okay, and I'm putting you here to do the.
Okay.
Okay, so now we can connect.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so
really great.
let's keep in touch. Thank
Mhm.
you very much for this
Yes.
conversation. And let's see if we can gather a little bit more attention.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to push this. We don't have yet an event. Trying to push with a few institutions, a few associations, to see if we could get some momentum about using open source tools for communication. Um, I'm trying here to influence the startup community to let go of Slack. And there's also a community on Discord, which is called DevPT, which is just random people that like to program. They have thousands in someone, and I want them to get out of Discord, which is limited in some ways, and it could be interesting. Okay.
Cool. Thanks for being here, and definitely keep in touch and follow up and see how we can help you. And yeah, perfect. Cool.
Hello.
Okay. See you.
Hello,
How
Bye.
are you?
Bye bye.
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
Also good. And enjoying the OW2con so far?
Yes, so far. Very nice. Some good
Us
talks
as well.
already.
Yeah, this is just an ad hoc exercise. We have a booth with the Rocket.Chat, and I thought, okay, what will we do with that? Sit around and wait for people to chat all day, or try something innovative and invite visitors, speakers, and so forth, and have a nice chat for like 20-30 minutes about open source and opportunities. And with that, we can strengthen tomorrow as well as today the attention for the conference, and make our booth a bit more useful than they usually are.
I see. Okay, cool. Thanks for inviting me. I saw your talk earlier about the Rocket.Chat. I kind of liked how you sat there comfortably on your sofa and chatted away. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it actually was a backup talk, so I had to do it in one take, but it went pretty okay.
Yeah, I think so. I when I record something, I aim for one take talks because it just takes less time.
Yes.
It was
Else you
also
keep on
so for this
revisiting
talk,
the same thing to try and make that perfect, and
yeah, and then
it
cut it
doesn't get
together.
much better than something which is just well, let's say spontaneous.
Right.
So tomorrow your talk will be about Mercedes-Benz and a manifesto and open source. Can you
Correct.
tell a
Open
little bit
source.
about that without actually like spoiling everything?
Yeah, okay. Well, so see, the thing is, Mercedes-Benz is a big company, and about 6-7 years ago, people weren't allowed to contribute to open source. It's like, yeah, I don't know, let's be careful. We have security relevant systems like everybody. And yeah, maybe, if it's not invented here, maybe it's not, I don't know if it's reliable, so. And then it was realized that no, you can't develop software anymore these days without open source, right? And so that was a change in mindset at senior management level, at C level, and they said, okay, no, let's do open source. And then, how do you do it safely? With you need processes, train people about licenses and so forth. And then people will do open source, right? Yeah, some people but not, change of mindset like that doesn't happen in just half a year or something like that. So we felt we needed something a bit more radical than just, hey, we have processes and we have the trainings, now do it. Yeah. So also the whole mindset thing. It's like, yeah, but are we allowed to now? And in our working time? And because that, a lot of times people back then, say they needed some open source library and for their actual work and project, and then they needed a bug fix. Yeah, but you weren't allowed to contribute to open source, so they went home and did it, in the evening, so they could have the bug fix ready tomorrow for their work, and they did it with their private accounts. I mean, that was exceptions, but that happened. And obviously that's not cool, right? And so yes, of course you can do open source in your working time. Hello, it benefits everybody, right? So, and that's what that manifesto is about. Kind of like the Agile manifesto. We need something that resets where we are and changes people's approach. And yeah, so that's that manifesto. Then a colleague and I sat down and we wrote it and we presented it to senior management and said, "Look, what do you think?" And they said, "Yeah, that's a good idea." Yes. And then yeah, so the rest in tomorrow's talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Great. And then by magic, it just happened, and the whole huge company of Mercedes-Benz became open source, contributing, and so forth.
Yeah, that would have been nice. No, of course not. Then
No.
just because you have that manifesto, that alone doesn't change anything. You need to talk about it. And so we did a lot of internal talking, write articles for the social internet. We went to senior management meetings and presented it. We did a funny video, funny videos, that's people keep that in mind, and talk at conferences, for example, because when you talk at an external conference, then some people will be there or it will get attention and then they will notice it internally. Yeah, so you need to do a lot of communication until the news reach people. Yeah,
And on top of
that
that, repeat yourself and find people that repeat that message so that you only need to amplify it. And then
yeah,
slowly, I
yeah,
wouldn't say it takes over the world, but slowly it will be part of people's personal ecosystem. Like, oh yeah, I can just contribute that back, or I can say this didn't work for me, or they just say, yeah, this worked for me and I fixed it, or that one fixed it, or whatnot. And yeah,
yeah.
then it takes momentum. I've seen this before. I'm originally from the Drupal ecosystem,
Mhm.
and there we have like also a big German company, Bayer, and they're currently doing that for the past 6 years. So they started 6 years ago with this, maybe also a manifesto. I don't know the exact details, and then slowly you see the amount of contributions to the ecosystem from that specific company, and because they're so big and they also have so many engineers, you see this impact growing, and thus I can conclude that their open source, maybe manifesto, maybe not, but the policies are acting out and actually handing over results, and that's great. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's just,
And
yeah, but as you say, you have to repeat yourself
mhm.
again and again. But hey, okay, that's fine. After a while, you kind of have it in you that you say the same things again, and yeah, but that's okay. I mean, that's just how it works, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and then hopefully more and more people will uh, spread the same kind of voice and tone, and yeah, then it
Yeah,
grows and gets better. Yeah.
yeah, and
and
we see
and,
the
and
effects of that. I mean, slowly. I
Mhm.
can't, give you any numbers. We have since we published the manifesto, X amount of whatever, but we see people that say, "Hey, we have the FOSS manifesto, see, and it says this principle here, and that's why we
Mhm.
act on it." So that's
Yeah.
kind of like yes.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
very
that's
good, and
mainly
also can
targeted
attract
at.
some talent, right?
Sorry.
Uh, it can also attract some talent. Some people that work with open source says, okay, this is a company that is towards open source, and I would like to work on there, right? Uh,
Hopefully, that is
yeah.
that is yeah, one of the things that we hope that come out of it, because I mean, a developer would not join a company these days. I think an IT company, that says, "Sorry, but yeah, you can come, you can do whatever you want, just not open source." I was like, "What?"
Can I use it at least? No, no, not using you from scratch.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that will sit too well with the new talents, right? So that is one of the hopes that people say, "Oh." And actually, I just read a study that said that in Germany, Mercedes is again #1 for most attractive employers. I was like, wow, cool. I don't know if that, FOSS had any effect on that. But it's just like, that's obviously nice. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
Still difficult to get developers, right? In IT is very difficult right now for everyone.
Yep.
Yes, we have
And
the
then
same problem.
Mhm.
Hiring is a battle right now.
Yeah.
everybody's
Fortunately,
having the same battle around. Yeah.
yeah.
The only solution to that
Yeah.
is grow the petri dish of developers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And see, I
And
mean, yeah, these days it's more like, when you have a job interview with someone, it feels like you're actually competing to get them on board. And like when you think back 10, 15 years ago, you got too many possible interviewees, and they were competing.
Mhm. And then this whole open source tendency that it has two legged. This one is the actual developer mentality, and the other side of things is the actual tools and software that are used for common day office practices as well as specific tasks and so forth. Do you see any effects from adaptation of, for example, using Nextcloud instead of Microsoft Office or other examples within Mercedes-Benz that are already like going from closed to open source?
Okay, sorry. What do you mean? Like, well, we're still using Microsoft Office, of course,
Mhm.
but you mean the shift towards?
Towards at least work with open protocols and open standards, and from there on the next steps would be to change some of tooling, some of communication messaging, or another way of tools that are used to become more interoperable and to have a better privacy and security standards. That's what we see a lot within Rocket.Chat, specifically in German, Swedish, Dutch, and other markets where governments and companies they start to value actually owning their data and having privacy and security in their tooling. So we
Yeah, I
see
mean,
like a lot of requests there.
we're sort of constantly evaluating the tools that we use, and then there's not centrally. Well, okay,
Mhm.
some tools like Office tools are centrally provided, but usually it's developers, whatever they need, is what they will try to get approved, and sometimes that can be difficult, especially when it violates data protection and security. So
Mhm.
we had a Slack, for example, is you can't do open source without Slack, but you have to be careful as well because data is hosted outside of Europe, and so there are issues with some tools, of course.
Yeah, that's that's why we see a lot of new incoming requests that companies say, Slack, and I want to combine that with my whole help desk and support channeling and so forth.
Yeah.
And then they start looking around for time, and there's actually only one proper solution in open source that can do that, and then they come at Rocket.Chat.
Good.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool, because then, yeah, it's
I agree.
the ecosystem grows.
Yeah, that's good.
And yeah, then the same thing happens again and again on top of each other with what kind of video calling solutions. Then it's either Jitsi Meet or Big Blue Button, and no longer Zoom or Microsoft Teams. And slowly that whole processes are transitioning from being closed and not free and open to being open and secure and interoperable.
Yeah, I think it is gaining more and more momentum, the whole
Mhm.
the whole movement. And then it's good to see more and more companies joining in. For example, Mercedes-Benz, as I said, 6, 7 years ago, open source was a no-go. and now we're all full throttle embracing open source with this the whole legal licenses, observation of all of that. But yeah, open wherever we can. On our way there, not everything is perfect yet.
No, but at least it takes some incentive, momentum, then some traction, and then finally you get to a certain goal.
Yeah.
That's really cool to see. That's nice. Yeah.
And especially when it's not from upside to down to bottom. It's like from the bottom to the sea level, and then the sea level said, "Okay, this is interesting," and then sponsor that, and that's the key to work, right?
Yeah, it kind of goes both ways. You can't just if senior management doesn't allow it, then your grassroots movement will not go anywhere. But if only management wants and the people don't support it, same. But so that's why it started out at Mercedes as sort of as a grassroots movement from various sides, and going up the chain saying, "Yeah, we need to do open source," and then it reached sea level, and they said, "Yeah, I think you got a point there," and so now it goes both ways, and then it has a good chances for success.
Yeah, sure. Here, at least, I worked on places that were not always open source related, and now in Rocket.Chat, I was talking with Flores. Is like amazing because it was born into a open source bed, and the whole company is like feel like open source. If that's very interesting because you can bring a lot of new tools. You can see a lot of tools. You can interact. You have the freedom to go for other tools and say, let's try to integrate with this, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, maybe it's not the right time, but it's very flourishing with new ideas and integrations.
That's very cool. How many guys are at Rocket.Chat?
It keeps changing.
I think we're
200 or
280, no? 270 to
Yeah.
80. That's a round number. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then spread almost all of the countries of the world.
Sweet.
Majority of people are in Brazil, obviously, and then the second, I guess, United States, and then closely followed by Northwestern Europe, Germany, the Netherlands, France, Portugal, Spain,
Croatia. We have like
Croatia, a lot.
a lot of team from our team. But the cool thing is that they just don't care. Like wherever you leave, okay, come aboard. If we want you, come here.
Right.
That's a nice thing.
And so, Flores, you're in Eindhoven, is what you said, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I did
Yeah.
actually pay attention to some things you said. Just proving that I was at your talk.
Thank you.
And Duda, you're in Brazil?
I'm in Brazil, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's little small city in the far away in Brazil.
Okay, sweet.
That's very good. Where are you based?
In Germany, in Ulm, in southern Germany.
Nice. That's really nice. We have not sure Frank Days is from I forgot the city. But he developed the bot press connector. He's from Germany. Very nice guy. We are on the mentorship together on the Google Summer of Code project, and by a coincidence, the student that we selected, he's a Chinese student that lives in Germany. So we are developing some bot press connectors, in order to improve the usability of bots inside Rocket.Chat. And that's a lot of people from all around contributing. That's also amazing, right? Because you have different backgrounds, you have different people from different paths. So that's very interesting. That adds a lot, right?
I love it. I love the international focus of everybody's from somewhere. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, good. Okay, then maybe see you tomorrow, or
Yes,
or you'll see
for
me,
sure.
perhaps, if you
Yeah,
like.
we will see you, and yeah, of course.
Maybe live or maybe later, because today we're talking here and missing some talks. I said, oh, okay, I wanted to see this one, and but
All the
for
talks
sure
are
we'll try
going,
to go live.
yeah. Good. All the talks
Yeah,
are going to be available as a video afterwards, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
But
and
just in
that's a
case
nice thing, right?
people are watching this broadcast like tonight and they want to find out where they can see you tomorrow, that is at OW2con'22, and then you go to the registration. It's free. You just click on there. You go to chat, and in there in the main room at 20 minutes past 2 CEST, Northern Western European time, we will see Wolfgang's presentation. So thank you,
Yeah.
Wolfgang, for giving us a sneak peek and a very nice talk with you. And yeah, see you around.
Thanks very much, guys. See you
Thank
around.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So I'm Benoit from Starting Blocks. Thanks for the invitation, Floris. And yeah, I will let you drive the conversation.
All right. Let me first go. We organized this a little bit ad hoc, so I'm noting down the timestamp for having a more ease later with the cutting. Because the idea is we invite speakers and people that attend the OW2con. We have a booth here, and usually that is a place where people chat, and one or two comes by in a day. So instead of wasting our time, I thought it would be cool to have some broadcast up later tonight for the people in the Americas time zone as well as the Asian, to look ahead to what is coming tomorrow and what happened today. We've just seen you give a great talk on Web 3.0 or Web 3. And that's also something that we are really, really interested in, because that's the next level playing field for all the things that we now see with Bitcoins, NFTs, and so on and so on and so on. And it should be accessible out of the box. And it has huge expectations. Everybody's talking about it, but nobody has actually fully implemented this thing yet. So I'm really curious on your findings and where you think
so
Mhm.
at Starting Blocks, we are still experimenting around the Web3 technologies. The main I would say our own conclusion, and it's really a personal thing, is that like the Web3 in general is around decentralization. The topic is really decentralization, and you have two major philosophy which exists, which are like the older one, which is semantic web based. How do you link data, and how do you allow a user to find what it searches in the internet, but not with Google and not with any centralized platform? And you have the blockchains, which are a new set of technologies, which are pretty hard to get into. There is a really high step to get involved and really understand how the technology itself works. And we actually think we should not confront the two philosophy, but try to bridge everything, because the web already exists. We can do a lot of powerful things already. So we should not throw everything out and rewrite something new. And we also, because we can see blockchains have some limitation right now with like scalability, the environmental issue. So yeah, there are already some people working on bridging the two ecosystems, and we really believe we should play a role in that at Starting Blocks, and we think, I mean, Martin Alvarez mentioned it as the next step for mobile web application in general. Like, I think everybody should look at decentralized technologies in general and see how we can integrate that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great approach, because if you want to do a lot of changes in the blockchain, it's pretty expensive, and thus it takes a lot of computing power, and is it a suffering for the environment. And there is actually already like these kinds of hybrid type of solutions where the ledger and accounting is actually done in the blockchain, and then that relays either to something with a database or something with open schema based APIs. And there's a lot of things happening, but what I'm missing is that actually people are just doing the same thing by themselves all over again, and there's not so much collaboration in this kind of a field.
There is the decentralized identifiers working group, which I think is the main entry point right now in terms of collaboration between the two ecosystems. It's how do you standardize identification so that you can use both blockchains as the identification system, or something more traditional like OpenID and other authentication system. So I think that's the main thing we should investigate right now, because it can be achieved practically. But as you said, one question in the blockchain ecosystem is how do you store data in a way which is not so costly? And we think it should be done in a decentralized way. So you should bridge the philosophy of pods, which you have in the Solid project, like personal data storage, and the philosophy of blockchain, where when you can certify every content and certify that you like everything you do with the publicly just technologies. So right now we do not have a lot of practical implementation and application around that, but that's our topic for the next few years, definitely.
Cool. And what was the name of this entity or organization that is being like the hub for this development? Because that one went quickly, and I really want to look it up, like what the name of that was.
I think you should look at DID. It's a W3C working group, actually. So it's an open standard. And I think they have a foundation, so it should be DIF, Decentralized Identity Foundation.
That's interesting. There, found DID working group, W3C. Great, cool. It's always a little bit of a dry stuff to read, but important that these things happen. And if
definitely.
not, then there's somebody else making up another standard, and we have another mess, which happens all the time. That's really cool to know. Cool.
But the complexity of DID right now, it's because they are trying to make a lot of different identification system compatible. You have still a lot of implementation in terms of a lot of possibility of different implementation. So there is like 150 what they call methods of identification, which should be compatible with each other, but still it's it's a big work, I would say.
It's difficult to get all these things compliant with each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it should be. Well, I would say if I say that publicly, the Web3 community would hate me, I think. But I said it during the talk that Web3 is like blockchains are kind of big silos, because you put a lot of data and information inside of it, but like even if it's the community and it's decentralized in terms of architecture, it's still one platform, like apart from another one. So we need to find a way to bridge everything, and it's still a work in progress.
It's the same thing with all the chat protocols that exist around. And it took a lot of time for technologies like the Matrix to be able to include almost all of them.
Yeah.
And I guess that is same kind of path is also ahead of this DID and getting a standard that is actually interoperable between all the different blockchains.
Yeah, and at Starting Blocks, we have the question, we have the issue with the chat protocols because we developed some application which are using XMPP because we knew the founder of Prosody, which is the main implementation of XMPP server. And then we saw the rise of Matrix coming in and the interest and the funding they got and the way they were really growing fast. But we started like 2 years before to build everything on XMPP. So we're like, fuck. So yeah, that's a big issue. That's a really big issue.
There is a Matter Bridge integration between XMPP and Matrix. So that's something.
Yeah, it exists, but I heard it was not that practical. So I don't know. We haven't tried it yet, but yeah. The issue is that you shouldn't have to like bridge it manually. So there should be open standard to just like anyway.
Yeah. I'm facing the same issue with Jitsi Meet. Internally, it also has Prosody and XMPP. And then due to privacy concerns, whenever you close the room, the chat is gone. And I would love to see that this chat ends up somewhere in a Rocket.Chat channel for discussional purposes and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's a nice challenge. And then working in this XMPP, obviously you need to write Lua, and that adds another layer of complexity to the game. That's a lot of fun.
I'm actually I was right before my talk. I was trying to patch some stuff in Lua. So yeah, yeah, it's not a good idea to.
Beautiful and great when it works. In the process going there, you have to watch your frustration a little bit, but for the rest of it,
definitely
very decent technology. Yeah, cool.
So I don't know. Do you have any other question? Do you?
Well, in general, we were just curious and want to bridge today to tomorrow. And on the other hand, we're the part of the Rocket.Chat community team, so always interested in cross open source, new technologies, collaborations, and so on. So that's not a question.
I would go back a little bit on the Starting Blocks history because it's interesting because it's linked to Rocket.Chat in some way. We were part of a collective of freelancers, like the founders, and this collective was mainly using a Rocket.Chat instance, which we paid for as a company. And this collective was just growing in France. So lots of members on the Rocket.Chat instance. And at some point, we decided to split the collective into different companies. So you had one in Paris, one in Lyon, one in Marseille, different cities in France. And so when we decided to go with different companies, we also thought that we should go with different platforms so that every company could choose their tool and the way they interact with their user base and community and so on. But we should keep a way to collaborate. And one part, one of our main issue was that it was Paris who was contributing the most, and I was from the Parisian company. The Parisian one was contributing the most to the infrastructure, so our big Rocket.Chat, our big whatever, the other tools. And when we decided to split, we also thought okay, so there is no really practical solution to keep collaboration possible and split everything. So we should build something new. And that's why we decided to build Starting Blocks at the beginning to work on interoperability. And so and this Rocket.Chat, this big Rocket.Chat with like, I think we have 700 members, it still exists because we couldn't achieve the migration of the community. Like, it's always a nightmare when you decide to switch to another tool, and yeah.
Yeah, that's always a nightmare. And then, well, happy that you didn't come from a collection of Slack instances, because I came from the Drupal community, and in there, if I open my Slack, there's like 28 different servers, each for a different topic, for a different community in a different country and a different audience. My computer doesn't like Slack. Me neither, but still.
Yeah.
So the main opportunity there is federation, that one instance can talk to another. And we were just going deep dive into history due to the talk that was up on the W3C and the early HTML standards, and we're discussing about IRC, like the first federated chat service. And from there all the others came. The XMPP got really big due to what's the name of that? It always made the noise.
It's ICQ.
ICQ, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
ICQ.
Okay.
That was built as a transition by Yahoo from XMPP, and those were the first like commercial app and open app that we're speaking about, and then over time that evolved, and we're currently looking at the matrix, and that's a beautiful protocol by itself.
Okay.
But indeed,
I didn't really look at it, like, so I don't know. I guess it's a really cool thing, but it looked complicated at the beginning, I think.
That's usually a problem. And then what you just said, like migrating complete communities from one service to another, that's like a very tough job.
Yeah, you lose a big chunk of the community every time, so you should not make that move like too much.
No, then it's usually easier to bridge the service with another service, and then it's dependent on what people join and jump to and choose to be. All right, cool.
Okay.
Anything else we should discuss about? I don't have further questions currently. Really enjoyed your talk and like this conference.
Yeah. But on my side, everything is fine. So thanks for the invitation. It was pleasant to talk to you, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Then.
Yes. Thank you for being here. All right. Bye.
Bye.
How are you?
Hello. Fine, thank you.
Great. We can hear you great as well. Good.
Good.
So let's
You're from the Rocket.Chat team?
Yes, we are from the Rocket.Chat community team. And with the OW2con, we have a booth, and usually that's very boring. We sit there and chat, and maybe one or two people come along. So instead of that, I thought, it might be fun to do a little webcast after the first day of the OW2con, reflecting back on what happened on the first day, looking at what is coming for the next day. And meanwhile, we have some fun and talk with people and meet people. So that's why I also invited you, because I saw this presentation that was done, and
Thank you.
That's cool. Let's start off like providing some context for people who are watching here later. Check. Go back here. There. Yeah, of course. your talk was on Lemon LDAP, and we were specifically interested in this one because both of us played with the free APA as well as key clock. And key
Yeah.
clock is a little bit difficult to adapt for all the different platforms. For example, I made a test with not with Rocket.Chat in this time. This was with Nextcloud and key clock. And after 2-3 hours of reading documents, I finally got everything rightly configured so that this one worked. And yeah, I'm really curious on the Lemon LDAP. For us, it's new. We didn't test the software yet. We were planning to do that yesterday, but like actual work came along, so we couldn't play around with it. So I'm
Okay.
curious on.
Yeah. Lemon LDAP NG and Keycloak are both products that provide single sign-on features, especially with the SAML protocol and OpenID Connect protocol. Lemon LDAP is a little older than Keycloak, and the community model is slightly different. Lemon LDAP NG is a pure community product without any company owning the code, and Keycloak is a product from Red Hat company. But both products are already open source, and you can use it without any cost. You can, for the business model, you can have a paid support by Red Hat if you want to use Keycloak. In this case, you use the professional version of Keycloak, which is Red Hat SSO, Red Hat Single Sign-On. And with Lemon LDAP NG, you can paid support to Vortex or other companies working on the product. But you will still use the Lemon LDAP NG version. There is no difference between the Lemon LDAP NG community and professional version. It's a product that was created in France 20 years ago, and it is now mainly used in France and Europe, but we have a lot of customers and users in other countries. So it is starting to be spread all over the world, but we know that the main part of the community is still based in France for the moment.
Cool. And you were mentioning about two different communities. Do you also see differences in both communities, or is there overlap? Are people collaborating, or they're not?
Yeah,
How does this...
For example, at Vortex, we are also partner with Red Hat, and we provide professional services around Keycloak. And for our customers, we can deploy Lemon LDAP NG or Keycloak depending on the criterion on the needs of the customer. So there is no real fight between the two solutions because both solutions have their particularities and specificities. And some of our customers prefer to use Keycloak because it's written in Java and they already have a Java stack and they have all the Java on the servers to run Keycloak. Other customers prefer to use native package on the Linux distribution with Debian or CentOS and do not want to install Java server. So this can be one of the specificity and the difference between the two products. And with Lemon LDAP NG, you have a full application portal when you can see all the application icons. And you don't have this with Keycloak, but with Keycloak you have more web services and more feature about OW2. So you really need to look at the two solutions, and we we are helping our customers to compare the two solutions and to help them to choose the right for them. To be
So actually,
really, yes,
those both communities are interoperable and collaborating and strengthening each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
To be really transparent, the ClickLoop community is clearly much wider
Hmm.
than the Lemonade community. Because it's an American product supported by Red Hat, it has a lot of visibility.
Hmm.
But we have sometimes some projects in which we install both products. One will be the identity provider, and one other will be a service provider. So both, because we are respecting the same standard, which are SAML and OpenID Connect, so we can install both and let them communicate. And we have sometimes some federations project in which each partner choose its own solution, so open source or private or closed software solution. For example, Active Directory Federation Services, which is the identity provider from Microsoft, and we can all communicate together because we are using the standard protocols.
Cool. So that also brings great opportunities for integrations. Currently, the next version now it's 4.8, and in 5, Rocket Cloud of Rocket.Chat will support matrix protocol and this federation. Currently, you can already federate between 2 or more Rocket Chats. And then usually you come down with the bigger companies in the authentication matter, and doing the everything against one LDAP is a bottleneck. It can go wrong on that side of things. So having federation around that's really great. That's really cool.
Mm. Yeah, we're using Rocket.Chat in our collaborative solution, and
Mhm.
Rocket.Chat is plugged to Lemonade PNG in our solution. So it works well.
Cool. So that's something for us that we want to start playing around with, but maybe next week. Cool. Nice. Dura, do you have any questions or?
No, I did install I think last week, the
Mhm.
Docker,
Yeah.
and then I think
Yeah.
we can play around a little bit and maybe do some documentations on how to use both together, and make sure that everybody that wants to use Rocket.Chat and Lemon LDAP, they can
Yeah,
do it properly.
I'll check. I'm not sure. Maybe we already have some documentation, but I'll check that. Because we document sometimes how we plug some some products. No, we don't have the documentation for Rocket.Chat, but if you have one, it would be great. It's really simple because it's the same protocol we use, and you can plug it. Just there is already a SAML documentation on the Rocket.Chat website, so you just have to follow the guidelines.
Yeah. In general, you have like some key signature and an endpoint, and that's it.
Yeah,
It should be enough.
yeah, yeah. I saw you shared also a link about the Adapt Toolbox project in the chat. It's
Hmm.
another project, yeah, a little different from Lemonade PNG. The Adapt Toolbox project gathers some different softwares to manage LDAP directories. So
Okay.
we are on the low level of authentication. So we manage the LDAP directory. We can provide some web interface to let user update the password, for example. And the Lemonade PNG as Kitlock is the high level interface where the user can sign in with for other applications.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And Adapted Box and Lemonade PNG are both in OW2 community.
Yeah, so probably we can increment that that list.
Yeah, we are trying in OW2 to federate several identity and access management softwares. And we created 2 years ago a new initiative which is called Fusion IAM. And Fusion IAM is for the moment a list of Docker images for each product that you can install. It's a bundle of all the products that you can install together. And with this, you have a complete identity and access management solution, because the Lemonade App Engine as Keycloak is only the access management part, but you don't have the tools to manage your user inside your directory, for example, with Lemonade App or Keycloak. So we integrate Fusion Directory, OpenLDAP, Lemonade App Engine, and App Toolbox all together. So all products are configured, and with this, you can have a full identity and access management solution.
Nice. Yeah, I
That's
think
really cool.
looking for maybe someone already have some documentation. Hmm. Bundling everything together, like but then we can certainly work that out. It's good, awesome, congratulations.
Thank you.
I just run it here, the Docker here, just to run it
Okay,
again. It's nice.
thank you.
And I was just checking the schedule for tomorrow. Tomorrow there isn't anything around SSO or LDAP
I
or something.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Because else it would be nice to end with a reference, like if you want to find out more on this project, go watch this one or something like that. But we've
Mhm.
already seen two today, which were very interesting talks, both of them.
Thank you.
And if people want to follow up and contribute to the project, obviously I'll share the main LemonNG link.
Yeah,
Is there other like communication platforms or pointers where we can send people to that are interested to
we
follow up?
yeah we fully use the OW2 platform. So the source code is on the OW2 GitLab. We have all the mailing lists on the OW2 mailing list server. Um, we have a little IRC channel also, uh, but less and less people are using it. So the most active channel is the mailing list for the moment. And there is also a project page on W2 website where we post every news and every new release information, like you do for Rocket.Chat, for example.
Mhm.
So,
Cool. All right, so we can have some call to action follow-ups to for people that are interested to join or help out these great. It's not the only one. It's like 2 or 3 great projects. Cool, really nice. Okay, you still have like 10, 15 minutes before your next meeting. Is there anything else we should like discuss? I don't have specific questions anymore. Thank you for
I'm fine.
clarifying things.
you're welcome.
All
Oh
right.
yeah, I'm fine too.
You're fine too. Okay. So we can take this as an example for one of the Rocket.Lab
Yeah, yeah.
videos we're going to do. Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah,
Would you also be willing to join in that episode as a special guest? Because in
Yeah,
general, that's
it
the
would,
most
yeah.
fun. If we have like a person that's actually maintaining and working with the software, and then we do the like show and tell. It's like not so long, like 20, maybe 30 minutes of a nice video on how these two softwares
yeah.
can play together.
Yeah,
Okay.
and even get the hands dirty, right? Like do some demos and do some stuff. I think it's nice.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah. Cool. That's the plan. So yeah, we know. I'll do some follow up on the channels and probably LinkedIn. Cool. Awesome. All right.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you for being
Thanks a lot.
here.
Thank you.
And
All right.
goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.